Welcome back. I'm Kathleen Barnes of Take Charge Books. With me is Dr. Jim Crawford, author of A Stroke Was My Teacher. Dr. Crawford has a long career in biomedical research, and he became his own research subject when he had a stroke 4 years ago. His book, A Stroke Was My Teacher, is the story of what he's learned as a scientist and as a human being about his stroke and what is different from what conventional medicine sees. Dr. Crawford, what is the message? What's the take-home message? How can we prevent strokes?
Okay, that is just the pivotal, crucial question, and that if you don't remember anything else about what I'm saying, pay attention to the next part. To prevent stroke, you have got to keep your body hydrated, and in my opinion, the first thing you need to do is to teach your body that there's a new game in town, and that you're going to start going by those rules from this day forward, that being that when you go to the bathroom in the morning, the first thing you do after you've void your bladder is you go to the sink and you get a tall glass of hot water and you drink it, and you ask, well, why hot water? Well, you can use cold water if you want to. My feeling is I want to replace that lost fluid in my blood as quickly as possible, and I'm going to drink hot water. And that sends a whole new signal to your brain and to your body. I'm not used to, your body's not used to that. So once you start that program, you're going to be amazed at how much you look forward to that when you get out of bed in the morning. Because you look in the mirror and you say, by golly, that guy's right. I'm here. I didn't have a stroke yesterday. What he's saying really makes sense. And I'm going to drink hot water when I get out of bed.
How much water through the day should they consume?
In my feeling, there are all sorts of recommendations like 8 glasses a day and all that. But I think you have to mix this in with common sense. In fact, this entire book is one of common sense. But the common sense to me is you drink what is comfortable to drink. Drink as much as you can. But keep in mind, as we age, we lose our sense of thirst. And this is crucial. You got to realize that as we age, we lose our sense of thirst. So whether you're thirsty or not, you've got to drink the water, and you've got to drink at least 2 quarts a day, more than what you have ever done in your life. And what I suggest is you take something like a Brita jug, and you fill it up in the morning, and you set it on the counter or someplace where you go buy it several times a day. And every time you go to the bathroom during the daytime, use that as a signal to drink some more water, as a reminder to drink some more water, and get your body into the habit of drinking more water. And the amazing thing is I've had people come back to me and they say, I appreciate what you've been telling us about stroke, but I have to tell you that I feel so much better since I started drinking water. On many counts, I've had people tell me about prostate problems that have been eased, kidney problems that have been eased, fibromyalgia that is less demanding. If you look at that Batman book, I'm telling you there are at least 50 diseases in there that are dehydration related, and you start going through the litany of those, you're going to feel better when you drink water. And that's all there is to it. It's so simple, it's cheap, and the good news is that the pharmaceutical companies haven't figured out how to package it to charge you or to have a prescription for it. So.
You also talk about looking at your mineral status, and especially magnesium. How do you do that, and how much should you use?
Okay, that's a tricky question. Main reason because there's no good way to measure blood magnesium because it's in equilibrium with the magnesium in your bones. So as you very well know in your book, The Calcium Lie that you folks wrote, you know very well that it's very difficult to monitor divalent cations or any other in your bloodstream because they're in equilibrium with your bone that has the largest reservoir of those things. So that's the problem. And so there's no good, and the same with dehydration. There's no good way to measure dehydration. There are ways of doing it, such as osmotic pressure, which is probably one of the best. But there's no gold standard, so to speak, that's easy for people to. Well, color of the urine is probably as quick a clue as you can get, because if the color of the urine is dark, then you're not drinking enough water, and that is a pretty reliable tool. And so I would say just notice that and pay attention to it, and drink extra water just to make sure it doesn't happen. That's a simple solution.
And going back to the magnesium,
Yes.
should everybody just take some then?
Well, you know what? I will never recommend what people should do with their health. I never recommend it. I will tell you what I do. And most certainly I take magnesium supplements. I take magnesium malate. I take magnesium glycinate. I take a combination of magnesium, calcium, potassium. And then sometimes I take magnesium citrate depending on whether my intestinal tract is working beautifully or not, because that is a laxative. So what I look at is the recommendation I've seen is like 10 milligrams per kilogram per day. 10 milligrams per kilogram. But that's a pure magnesium. Now that's not a magnesium supplement. You've got to make sure that you're talking about magnesium itself and not magnesium coupled with magnesium oxide, such as in milk of magnesia or something. That doesn't count. That's a very insoluble form of magnesium. That doesn't count very well.
So how do you know what to get?
Well, you look for a soluble form, and then you pay attention to what I'm saying, that you can use magnesium malate is probably the best one you could use, or magnesium glycinate is another very good one. But I'm not recommending it. You talk to your doctor about it, and you get your doctor to tell you what to use it. Because that's too tricky a business to anybody be doing it on their own. You've got to be sure that you don't have some other health issue that indicates the use of magnesium. So that's a deal for you to take up with your doctor. I'm out of here on that one.
And let's talk a little bit about blood sugar. You've talked earlier segments about how the sugar thickens the blood.
Yes, indeed.
And so how should people check their blood sugar, and what should they do if they find that it's a little high?
Again, that's your doctor's, that's his or her area for discussion. But I will say that there is a test called the HbA1c, and that is the most destructive test in our bank of tests, because they just totally missed the point. Anyway, and that's covered thoroughly in my book. So if you're curious about it, take a look at that book. And by the way, that book is not my reason for this being on YouTube. I don't care if I don't sell another copy of that book. What I do care about is getting this message out to the public, because it is so important for you to hear what I'm saying. But this is not driven by my desire to sell a book, I can tell you that. So that's sort of astounding, but then, anyway.
You've also talked about managing stress and how important that is in stroke prevention.
Okay. Well, managing stress that's one of the parts of good news coming along, because if you're noticing in the advertising today, you've got this new drug called Pradaxa that's going to replace warfarin, they hope. You know, the odd thing about that drug is they call it 30% more effective than warfarin. Why? Because Pradaxa also helps manage cortisol. That's what's going on. And what they're doing is offering protection to the 30% they've missed with warfarin. That's all I'm saying. So,
but aren't there some simpler ways to manage stress, like deep breathing, meditation, walking in nature?
Yeah, sure. You know, there's a litany of well, you know, there's the breathing techniques, there's meditation, all of those kinds of things are very useful. Yoga, Tai Chi, numerous avenues, of which I have evaluated as well and written about in the book. So you can check that out if you choose, and select from what's useful.
Thank you, Dr. Jim Crawford, author of A Stroke Was My Teacher. The main points: drink a lot of water, look at your mineral status, check your blood sugar, manage stress, and prevent stroke. Thank you.
You betcha.